into Gamesthetic episode 215. I'm Alex Light with Sparky3. Hope you're having a phenomenal day today, whatever day you are listening or watching the show. I got both the boys in here with me. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Did you delay that? I feel like that was longer than usual.
It might have been, just by a little smidge bit. My bad. But anyway, how you doing?
I'm good.
All right, what about you, John?
I'm doing good. A lot of expedition this week.
Buddy. A lot of expedition yesterday and today for me. I didn't get to do as much this week, just a little dabble here or there. There was one day I didn't do it at all. But yesterday and today, all expedition. All I've been doing. I've been having a blast with that. So yes, we are going to talk more Expedition 33 today, as well as touch on the Xbox thing, just because it's something to touch on. It happened. It's notable. There's a funny Bungie thing to shout out that I think is really funny. GTA finally got a release date. And it's not this year, which I think we all called that in our predictions.
You know what's funny? PS2 got 3 GTAs.
I know.
GTA 5 got 3 PlayStations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was talking to my younger brother-in-law, and I pointed at, it's just like, man, I was 19 when GTA 5 came out. He's like, dude, I was in elementary school. It's like, no, we don't got to be pointing all that out. we don't got to be getting that far into the weeds, brother. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be pushing, 32 next year when it comes out. It's just like, Jesus Christ, I was 19 when 5 came out. Lord have mercy. But yeah, no, GTA 5, touch on that, as well as a few other things here or there. We did have the Borderlands State of Play, which you said you could chat about. In some
Yeah, I
capacity.
watched it.
Yeah. So I guess
That was happening.
I barely caught it, to be honest.
It was very kind of under the radar because it was just like announcement of date, and then it's like, by the way, there's a State of Play, guys. And it was pretty quick about it. So,
But I'd honestly like to talk about it because after watching it, I feel a bit better about Borderlands 4 now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so we're going to definitely touch on that, plus its new release date and whatever else that we want to chat about here today. Shout out to the Patreon if you want to support us further. That's a great way to do so. Join the Discord, be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll make sure to shout out Rogue Energy and Agent Inc. and our own merch store later on in the show. All right, boys, before we jump into some expedition, anything you guys want to shout out? Anything we want to get off our chest? Address to the world?
For anyone who cares and has forgotten it's a thing that got announced almost like a year ago, finally getting some information about Honkai Star Rail and its Fate's Day Night crossover.
Yeah, I saw that. I forgot to include that in the script. I saw that just earlier.
Yep, because it just came out last night.
Okay, the info did?
Well, at least the first show tease of the 2 characters that are going to be in Honkai Star Rail is Saber and Archer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you log in during the event time, you get Archer for free. They're both 5 stars. And then you're going to have to roll for Saber.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a thing that was announced almost like a year and a half ago, and we're now finally seeing it.
Right. Nice. John, you got anything you want to shout out? Scream from the rooftops?
Yeah, not right now.
How's Wizard Brigade?
Oh, well, it's Spell Brigade.
Is it Spell Brigade?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called the Spell Brigade. It's basically kind of like vampires. It's one of these survivor type games. Vampire Survivors, Soulstone Survivors. That I forget the name of the one. That
Oh, not another zombie
Yeah.
game.
It's basically one of those games where in this one there's I think like 10 or 12 different characters that you can unlock. It's basically the character that you unlock just changes the starting spell that you have.
Okay.
And it's one where there's 3 different maps right now, and the thing with this one is you can play co-op.
Nice.
So it's like you can play it with it's up to 4 players. It's fun. It's a relaxing game. I've been using it as like I play Expedition all day, and then I end my evenings playing Spell Brigade.
Right.
It's a nice little kind of
Back and
palate
forth.
cleanser, like turn your brain off kind of game. Multiplayer is kind of fun because this in that game like you have a spell augment, so it could be as simple as like you summon a sword that circles around you. And then you can augment it to where I think you get 5 per run, and you can augment them where it's like as it circles you, it grows bigger, and then it's like you can infuse each spell that you get with an element twice. So at level 7, at spell level 7 and 14, you can put elements on them. So you can have like fire to add burning damage or lightning to add arcing damage to it and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. And the augments get kind of crazy with some of the spells. And by default, friendly fire is on, which makes it fun.
Right.
Because you can have friendly fire on, and I think like half the spells in the game you can augment to like heal. So you can sometimes there's that fine line between trying to run over and heal your buddy so he doesn't get just blown up, but you're also having to dodge everything that he's throwing out. So it's pretty fun. It's a chill time.
Yeah, like you said, nice palate cleanser.
Yeah,
I think we all need one of those.
Yeah, it's one of those like if you like any of these like I don't know what they're called, like survivor type games, like vampires, survivors and that.
Yeah,
is a chill version of that.
I think it's technically called reverse bullet hell.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if they've changed, if like the nomenclature has changed on it, but that's what I referred to Vampire Survivors as when it came out because that's what they marketed it as.
Yeah,
Right.
Some of them I don't know if there's a new tag for it or something, but it's basically you create the bullet hell for the enemies, and yeah, it's a fun time. It's easy. It's probably easier solo, more fun co-op.
Right on, right on. I guess the only thing I have to shout out is the forgotten thing that one day we'll do something with. But shout out to today is Sparky 3 Day. Shout out to that. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and it's today. Shout out. So for people listening, the context for that is the month of May is when pretty much every single show we've ever started pretty much started in May. AniMan Plus started in May. This show started in May. Another show that's no longer active started in May. Pretty much everything started in May once upon a time. So shout out to Sparky 3 Day. We don't do anything about it. One day we will, but today is not that day, brother. We got Gamesthetic, so I guess that counts for Sparky 3 Day celebration.
He referred to a show that's no longer active, but specifically named AniMan Plus.
Hey, it's still active. You can go listen to it. It still gets downloads and views every week. So it counts.
Wild.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? I go check the audio list.
It's 2 years behind.
Yeah, no, this month will mark 2 years was the last time that we did an episode. That's crazy. Crazy. Now, Jacob mentioned to me recently that he really wants that show to come back, but it's like he even still agreed with me. He's like, man, I just don't have time to watch something. Like, brother, me too. If I have free time, I'd rather play a game. That's where I'm at. You know, I'm so behind on so many shows right now. I think the only things that I've watched is part of the last season of My Hero. That's it. I haven't watched Solo Leveling yet. I need to get around to it. Dude, I'm behind on everything.
The only thing I've watched is just clips of Knuckle Duster.
Shout out to Knuckle Duster, bro. I'm pumped for him.
Still wild. We're not gonna get to see his most badass moment probably towards the end of Vigilantes.
Yeah.
During this season, but
Yeah.
it's still just wild.
Yeah. True.
Meanwhile, the only show that I've probably watched in a couple years is Solo Leveling.
Yeah. Right. Which is a fun watch, 100%. So, but anyway, let's talk some more Expedition 33. You know, we've had about a week on it, and the game has still had a huge success across the board in terms of sales and reviews and everything. Everyone just overall just loving the game, calling it just one of the best JRPGs they've ever played, one of the best turn-based games. There's been so much conversation around it.
One of the things I saw, I don't remember who it was that said it, but it was some name in the industry said like Claire Obscure 33 is to JRPGs that Baldur's Gate 3 was to like RPGs, basically.
Yep, I saw that exactly.
I mean, it really is.
It is, yeah. Like, you know, what Expedition 33 has been able to do is nothing less than astonishing, especially since this is their debut game.
Yes.
And a thunderous debut at that. Like this is crazy what this game, just the quality of it and what they've been able to deliver and just the overall reception for it. And, you know, one thing I want to shout out off the top that I absolutely love about everyone that's playing the game, because like even for games that I don't play, you know, my timeline's pretty well versed in just gaming where I see almost everything to some extent. and that includes spoilers for even games that I don't play. One way or another, I will see.
That's something I haven't really noticed either. People haven't been
they're
really showing spoilers.
They're being very respectful about this game. Shout out.
I have not even seen clips of this game,
Bruh.
which is unheard of.
Dude,
which is actually sort of wild.
It's crazy to think about, isn't it? Because like there's one very huge plot twist type moment that you would think would probably be out there pretty quick.
Which is
and
because you can see it within like the first 3 hours if you just rush it.
So it's like, dude, shout out to everyone enjoying the game and letting people go enjoy the game. Right? I love me some spoilers. It doesn't bother me, but like I try to be respectful. I try. I sometimes fail on the show. My bad. But you know, that's it's crazy to me that there's been no spoilers about this game.
That is very surprising with how popular and how much this game has popped off. Because like one of the few other games that I can think of where, I mean, it eventually gained a following, which is sort of explains why it didn't get as many spoilers. But like Outlast, like the original Outlast, it eventually got a big following and whatnot, which led to Outlast 2 and Outlast Trials. But I mean, Outlast actually has a pretty wild twist towards the end that, unless you actively look for it,
you're not gonna find
it.
Yeah. See, shout out to that, man. I love it when you have a game like this where it's like it has such a following, and like in Expedition's case, just like a huge gaming industry following, but like spoilers are not talked about or shown. That's awesome because there are some big ones in this game.
Because most of the stuff that I ever see is more or less clips of just people fighting bosses.
Yeah.
And like for the most part, they're not even like bosses like in the second half of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Even then, because like I'm like approaching the end of my time in this game probably. But even then, like I would say most of the bosses that I'm finding out there, if you saw someone like fighting it, most of the bosses aren't spoilers in this game, which is one of the interesting things about it. Some of them are definitely spoilers.
100%.
But
a large portion of them are optional.
Yeah.
I would say like there's probably less than a handful of like actual like could be considered spoiler boss fights in the game.
I can agree to that. Because I'm in the same boat as you, where it's like if you and I wanted to go beat the game, we could. Right, like that's where we are. Like in terms of like narrative wise, you know,
I could probably do it.
Yeah, we're both at the point where, I mean, the moment we get to the point of the game, it's open to us, where we can say, oh yeah, if you want to go ahead and go ahead and go. So, yeah, I mean that's where we are.
It's because it's not. I mean, wouldn't be a spoiler to say about Act 3, right?
I don't think so. Because I mean, like I knew about Act 3 well in advance.
I have no idea what you're referencing, so I can't say.
Well, the moment that you transition from Act 2 to Act 3, narratively, the final step of the game, it's like this is your one objective.
Yes,
it's like this is your one objective. Here it is on the map. Go here if you want to just finish.
Yeah. So you can just go. You know, which I don't think that's a spoiler because like all the conversation that I saw around pretty big like video game writers, everyone said like. Basically what you just said, where it's like once you get to Act 3, the game opens up to you. Like that's what everyone said. I don't think that's a spoiler to say.
Yeah, it's like Act 3 is. It's like here, you know what you got to go do.
Yeah,
you can go. There's a shitload of stuff to go do.
Yeah,
have fun if you want to.
Yeah,
which is exactly what I've been doing.
Yeah, same here. You know, doing side quests and stuff like that.
I'm trying to clear everything on the map, and there's a lot. I'm still finding stuff.
Right. Yeah, which that's been the fun part, is just continuously finding more things. I know one thing that I really want to work on is getting all the expedition journals hammered out and get all the rest of the manor hammered out. Is two things that I really want to
where the rest
done.
of the expedition journals are at.
Yeah, I know. Same here.
I've been to most of the places on the map, and unless they're just hidden from
John,
me,
unfortunately, there's one journal you're not going to be able to get because you didn't get the old key at the expedition party, did you?
No.
You can't get it without the old key.
I mean, that's,
really? Yeah, I'm glad I got the old key.
I mean, that's whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could.
Then again, it's also a hidden journal that I found because unless you acquire it, it doesn't pop up on that list.
Okay. Well, then, yeah. Then it won't even show you didn't get it for you, so you're good.
Yeah.
Just forget that conversation ever happened. You'll forget about it.
Yeah, it's in old Lumia City.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm with you, John, about like these things got to be hidden because like I'll come into a new area and I'll see a flag for a number that I haven't seen or something. Like, oh fuck yeah, be able to maybe find the journal for him, and I'll go around the whole area. I'm like, where the hell? There's got to be a journal. Where is that?
It wouldn't surprise me because the one I'm talking about, unless you actively go off like the beaten path and do something, you'll miss it completely.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's been a couple zones for me where, I mean, there's one I can think of where I spent most of the zone barely being able to see where I was going. Just because of the way that they do like
lighting and everything.
Yeah, the lighting and everything.
Man, that game gets dark sometimes.
Have you explored? It's not really spoiler. It's just a zone name. Have you gone to the Crimson Forest?
I'm actually in there right now.
So you may know what I'm talking about, where it gets very hard to see.
Yeah, the swaps that happens. Yes, yeah. No, I literally that's where I'm at right now when I got off earlier.
It's like bright, colorful red and everything.
Yeah,
and then you spend most of your exploration time in black and white.
Yeah, yeah. There's like some statues where if you click like the sword, it basically transitions it between like where it's more like really bright or the black and white, and it can be a real pain.
All right.
Yeah,
it's like. Color came back, but the color came back. I was like, I just want to be out of this fucking zone.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of this zone right now. I'm just like, I want to finish this thing up, and get out of here. That's where I'm at on things. No, I was checking out a lot of different zones earlier. Just now that I've gotten like flying and a couple other things. So like I checked out like the big tower to the left of the map. Went and checked that out. Just
the endless tower.
Yeah, just kind of walked in there, had a little dialogue moment. I'm like, all right, cool. All right, let me go explore some more.
Question for you guys. You
can do some of those.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the zone is now, but I think it's called like the Vicious Cave or something like that.
Sinister Cave, maybe?
Sinister Cave, yeah. Is there anything actually in there to fight?
That one...
It's just the dead Gestrel?
No, there is one thing to fight, but he's not hard. Like, it's just some big glowing Nevron with a big sword.
Okay. Because, I don't know, because that was literally the last thing I did. I'm pretty sure I'm sitting outside of it, because I haven't been able to play Expedition in a week.
Yeah.
So I'm way behind now, but I just remember I got to it like really late at night, and just with how dark that cave was,
it was very dark.
I don't feel like doing this right now.
Yeah, I don't.
Because just how they do the ambience and everything, I'm just like, I'm waiting for something to pop up and attack me, and I don't want to do this right now.
No, yeah, there's literally one Nevron to fight, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just did that one this morning.
Because I pathed my way to the dead Gestrel, and like I got to it, and I got the weapon it's holding. It's like, oh, it's down. I was like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent pretty much all of my time playing in the past 2 days, just flying around to every zone that I can go to, and a lot of them have resulted in me being like, okay, I gotta come back. I gotta come back after I level a bit, because like there's fights even now where like I show up to him, I'm like, God damn, I thought I'd be closer to being able to beat this right now. But
in terms of what, like the health bar's like barely moving, or just
in some cases, there are some very healthy bosses out there. Because like even like there's some places where it's like I did some grinding in it at the beginning of Act 3, but because like when I was initially flying around, every damn zone I tried to go to said danger on it, and I went in and just got obliterated. Now none of them do, but some of those, and like a lot of them, I could show up in 1 or 2 round every boss that's in there. Some of them I show up and I go through my initial big round of combat, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, so I know how much damage I do. Based on how much health you're missing right now, it's gonna be a long fight.
Yep. That's been me with some boss fights too, because I basically took the same exact approach. Just once we got into the point that we're at, I just went around the map checking stuff out. Went in there, some tedious, for me with my current level, because I'm lower level than you right now, and it was just like I look at some of these like, okay, I mean, your motions are really easy. This is just gonna take a while though.
I'm running around right now trying to find like areas that I haven't been to or bosses that I haven't fought, hoping to get the final like weapon upgrade like pieces.
Oh yeah.
I have one max level weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and the damage jump from the damage jump on that last level is insane.
Really.
It's like a 3.5 to 4,000 jump.
Really?
Damn. From 19 to 20?
Oh, it's 20 is not the highest.
Oh, was it not?
No, 33.
Oh, okay.
33 is the highest. Oh,
Okay.
33 are max level weapons, and it jumps from like around 3,700 to 4,000 up to like 7,500.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, because I didn't know what the max level was. I think my highest level for weapon right now is only like 24. So I'm getting there. I'm getting close.
Yeah, I farmed a zone earlier. I got some joy out of it because it was what was it, the island near the beginning.
Dark Shores?
Yeah, Dark Shores.
Mhm.
I farmed Dark Shores for a while because it was the most consistent place I could get like weapon upgrades to 31.
Mhm.
31 or 32, I don't remember. But it was the place I was getting the most of those, so I was just running around beating the shit out of them, which was fun
Nice.
because they beat the shit out of me early on when I showed up.
So now you're there getting revenge.
I was
You
getting
remember when we landed? I've come back.
You remember me?
Yeah. Because basically that's one thing I've been doing is like, as I was entering zones, I'd find the places where I could actually fight stuff, and then I would
Yeah.
just stay and farm some levels there, and then I would move on and kind of go until I hit a roadblock, and then find my best new farming spot
Mhm.
and get some moles. I didn't really do any farming today, but I need to go back and find a good spot to get some XP at, because I kind of just want to bust out 99 just to do it.
Right. Just to do it. So you're gonna do that before you ever head to the finale?
Probably, because when I go through the finale, if that's the actual finale,
The actual finale.
if that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
actual finale, that's gonna be my sign off to the game.
Right. That's fair. Obviously we could go on and on and on about just like how great the gameplay and the combat is, but like, obviously not going to talk spoilers, but just like now that you and I have gotten a chance to go further, just how much more passionate are you about the narrative than we even were last week? Because I know last week
I'm kind of torn actually.
Because last week you gave the game a 9, could be a 10 by the time you're done. Where are you floating now?
I haven't looked up. I haven't seen anybody's reactions to like Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little torn on Act 2, like the finale to it. Character wise, like all the characters way more than I did before.
Right.
Story wise, I still like the story. I want to see I'm gonna need to see the ending to fully understand everything that's happened.
That's actually pretty fair, because with where we are now, it throws a lot at you, and it's like a lot to kind of take in and digest, and need to kind of see the end for it.
Yeah, because you get like no spoilers or anything. You get a pretty big fucking curveball thrown at you.
True.
in the game, and I was thrown for a loop, and I was like, I had a moment where I was like, well, what's the fucking point? Then you start getting into like character stories and stuff like that, and I'm back on the train, but it's one where I was conflicted for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's like character wise, I like the characters way more than I did before.
Right.
Story wise, as long as we stick the landing in the final bit, we'll be good.
Yeah. No, I agree. For me, it's like when it comes to any form of narrative, I love dramatic curveballs, and this game throws you some dramatic curveballs, and I'm here for it.
I
love it.
I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. So neither was I. This is actually one of the rare cases where I had no idea what happens. Obviously, I knew there was an Act 3 just from conversation and that, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know how we got there. So when I tell you I'm with you, it's like I got thrown for a loop, but like I'm here for that shit. I like drastic curveballs. That's just me with narrative. So for me, I'm still firmly in the boat. I think this thing's a 10 out of 10, but that's just me. I just I love the narrative. I don't think it's the greatest single narrative in history, but it is just very good. And I love the curveballs they throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, where I was at in the game, it was a 9 out of 10. I mean, the game's clearly a 10 out of 10 for me. It's like the game's a 10 out of 10 as long as the ending doesn't fall off a cliff. It's 10 out of 10.
Right.
And even then, I mean, like story wise, it probably went from 10 to 9 for me, at least for now. But I mean, still, I mean, the gameplay loop of this game carries it so hard as well.
True.
It's so fun. I like the combat wise and like the way they handle like the pictos and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I love every bit about it. But yeah, no, game is solid. I'm gonna be interested to see how the finale actually.
You mentioned the
is
gameplay
handled.
loop, John. Just makes me think of with how the gameplay loop goes. Is just all the Elden Ring players and Souls players like, this is what we've had for years. You just now have it in a JRPG.
Right.
We only had to go fight like 5 bosses, but we have this whole field of others we can fight.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I will say Act 3 did a nice job of like, because it's very much, it throws you in and it's like, okay, we've told you what to do so far. You go do whatever you want. You could wander around, kind of like Zach was doing in the first bit of the game, where he just go find something he has no business fighting.
Yeah, I'm still doing that.
There's plenty.
Yeah.
There is an ungodly amount of that in Act 3.
True.
And it was nice because I'm back to kind of steamrolling most everything, but there was very much a period where, like, throughout Act 2, I just, like, nothing ever really got a chance to attack me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice getting into Act 3 where I'm like, okay, you get one shot, because even that didn't happen before.
Mm-hmm.
But now I had a period where I had to relearn my characters. I had to actually pay attention. I had to go through and look at it and go, okay, this clearly isn't working right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like what I had been doing wasn't working. How do I change it up to make it work? And I found my new way. Turns out it was just a little less, for me personally, it was a little less fire, a little more lightning.
There you go.
Lightning's a bit overpowered online.
I like lightning. Lightning's fun.
Because even with where I'm at in the game, with my Lune and her, as you adopted the put everything in a luck stat, it was a boss I had no business fighting, but I still watched her chunk a third of its health when I had a empowered lightning dance on her. I went, okay, this seems fair.
This seems fun. I'm here for this.
Which messes me up a lot of times with where I'm at, John, because since I like to fight the bosses I have no business fighting, and then I have Lune chunk them, and then they're suddenly like, oh shit, and they go into their second phase of the fight. I went, why am I having to relearn this? I've been fighting you for 10 minutes. Stop.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. So last week when we did the show, you guys were telling me there was like that boss at I think it was like the battlefield or whatever.
Yeah, the duelist.
It's like that one. You guys were telling me, it's like, oh, y'all kept saying, oh, that's your next boss. That's your next boss. Remember at Discord when I put it there, I said I did one shot my first boss.
Is that who you did it to?
I one shot him.
Nice.
Nice.
Legitimately one spell cast.
Were you able to watch the ending cutscene, or was it too dark?
It wasn't, honestly, wasn't that dark.
Man, it was dark as hell.
It was dark for me too.
I don't know if it's just my monitor settings.
Okay,
possibly.
But it's like it wasn't too bad for me, because I watched it, and then like I was running around. I was like, man, based on what they said, I thought it was gonna be pitch black in here.
It was for me. So it might be your monitor settings. I had to turn everything up. I didn't know how to get out. Oh. But no, I mean, like, to me, this is like an easy, like, at least this is a Game of the Year nominee lock.
Oh,
like,
easy.
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
There's no question. Like,
No, I would like.
I've been seeing a lot of people put already 2 nominees: Split Fiction, Expedition 33.
So
I would say there's an easy third, but it's a more niche third. But for the quality of the game, it needs to be in there. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
okay, so that's what I was.
I've seen someone else put that up too. Yeah.
So I saw someone put that up earlier, where it's just like now that GTA got delayed, Game of the Year is very firmly between these two, and it had Expedition and Kingdom Come, and I'm just like.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's like, look, I understand Kingdom Come came and took over the world when it did, but I gotta be honest, it might be an odd man out by the time the year's over.
It's one. The thing is, it's one where it's like it's not our type of game,
Right.
necessarily,
But it's pretty big.
Yeah.
But it's the one where it's like for the people that were like looking forward to that game, to them that is Expedition.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it has the same amount of like time and work and polish to it.
Yeah.
To like, I didn't see a whole lot of stuff when it came through, but I did catch a couple things. But it's like at one of those points where it's also got the Baldur's Gate 3 thing of where they thought of, hey, players are going to do something stupid. We're going to have voice lines for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those where also like the team behind it, everything, any problem that people had with the first game,
They fixed.
they addressed every system. They updated every system and made it better for the player for everything in that game.
Right.
And that game has like 200 hours worth of stuff to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree that it has a strong chance to be a nominee. I just could see it being the odd man out.
It's not
I really
What I'm
don't
s-
think. I feel like for you, it is my equivalent of Astrobot from last year. It's just that it's not on your feed and you're not seeing
well,
it.
it's not only that. It's just it's also me evaluating like what's to come kind of thing. Not what's out now.
Yeah.
It's that because I think Ghost of Yote is going to be
It's
nominated.
supposed to come out.
We got the release date, so it's October. I think that's going to probably be a nominee. Even though I don't necessarily agree with it, and if there was one that I would say, okay, yeah, let's drop this out and put Kingdom Come in, it would be this one. I'm not going to be surprised if Mario Kart World gets nominated. So
I mean-
I'm just going to keep it a buck. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about that.
I don't care how good that game is. If that game gets nominated over Kingdom Come, then
It's gonna be a
fucking
riot.
travesty.
Yeah, it's going to be a riot, and I totally
Because-
agree. I can just see, I can see how it's going to play out. And then one nominee that I do think is going to be in there is I think Blueprints is going to be in there because it's just one of those. You look at
It's more niche than Kingdom Come.
I agree, but look,
It's more niche, but it blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, it did blow up.
I think Blueprints is going to be that. It's going to be the Balatro of
Yes.
last year, and because it's like they've been putting like an indie game
in there
it's gonna
every
be
year.
there.
Okay.
So that's my mindset is I feel like there's an unspoken rule that the Game Awards have where like if there's an outstanding indie game, it's going to be in there. Because remember, Stray got nominated. Very fun game. I don't know if I'd call it a Game of the Year nominee. Very fun, very unique. Balatro last year. I see Blueprints being that game this year. So it's not. I don't necessarily agree with it being in there, but I'm just saying like based on the trends, that's why I think it's going to be in there.
Even like of all the games we've that have come out this year so far, I firmly hold that like based on reception and everything, that Expedition is the front runner.
Yes.
And at this point in the year is the game that's gonna take it. Granted, there could be some. It's like Ghost of Yote is coming out. There's probably some other stuff that's gonna come out and be like
Yeah, that
big
hasn't even been
hits.
announced yet.
So it's like we're gonna have some big hits come out this year that have a potential to like overtake some games,
Yep.
but at least for right now, I think Expedition's the front runner.
I do too. Because like for me, like the only locks that I have for like nominees would be Split Fiction, Blueprints, and Expedition. The other floaters is like Mario Kart World, Ghost of Yotai, Kingdom Come Deliverance, and Monster Hunter Wilds are all like the other like floaters of like who's going to claim those other 3 spots.
But here's the question: are you putting Split Fiction in there for the quality of the game or the legacy of the game, or the legacy of the studio?
Quality.
Because the only reason I ask that is because universal opinion of the game is it's a great game, but it's a great game, but people prefer.
It Takes Two.
It takes
It
two.
Takes Two.
It takes two. As I said when I talked about it, It Takes Two has a much better narrative, but that like let's say It Takes Two, like the narrative's like a 10 out of 10. Split Fiction is a 9 out of 10 narrative, but then the gameplay for Split Fiction is an easy 10 out of 10, and the gameplay for It Takes Two would be like a 9 out of 10.
Because the only reason I mentioned that is because if we're looking at,
I do hear you. Hear you though. Yeah, because I've seen the same reception.
If we're looking at potentially a game of a game of the year nominee list being, I mean, for probably the first time in a long time, nothing but 10 out of 10 games.
Right.
I would probably take a game that is an improvement over the previous game instead of one that everybody says the previous game was better.
Right. Oh, another one I just remembered that will probably be nominated is probably Death Stranding too. Is
that coming out this year?
Yes, the release date's already confirmed. We got a big thing for the release date like 2-3 weeks ago.
None of us are watching that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I don't even think I shouted out on the show. I might have in the weekly wrap. I don't remember. But
I mean,
no.
but yeah, if that comes out, that's unfortunately going to be slotted.
Yeah, that's going to be in there. But yeah, no, it is coming out this year. It's got a date.
Maybe you could just take it could just slot into a different category.
We both know, unfortunately, it's going to get slotted at least for
June 24th.
Game Awards.
June 24th.
At least for Game Awards, it's going to get slotted in that Game of the Year, regardless of what reception it's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I could even see Metal Gear Solid Delta get in there too. Personally,
that would really rile John up.
Yeah, I know, right? The remake getting in there.
Yeah, there's like in previous years, like I get riled up about remakes and stuff, but the main thing is for Game of the Year, remake shouldn't be in that category.
You stand firm on that. You stand on business, and I respect it.
But it's one of those, especially in a year like we're looking to have this year. It's like you're not gonna, you can't be putting remakes or something like that in there.
Right. They really need to. This needs to be the year they really do the remake remaster category.
The problem is there's never enough. You got two.
Yeah, I guess
you're gonna
that's
have
true.
2 this year that people are gonna talk about. It's gonna be
like big ones. Yeah,
it's gonna be like the Metal Gear Delta and Oblivion. They're gonna be the 2 big ones this year. But it's like there's usually only like 1 or 2 big name ones for the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair because that's when you're going to start seeing it become, like the fighting game category where it just has a bunch of, because like it would have, for example, it'd have Croc Legend of Gobos remastered in there, for an example.
But I mean, it's one of those things where like a remake in a subcategory, not game of the year, I'm fine with them being there as long as it makes sense for them to be there and they're not just taking a spot from something that deserved it. But yeah, no, it's one where it's gonna be based on what we have the rest of the year. It's gonna be a crazy like Game Awards this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Really pulling for Expedition.
We're gonna have think of this. We're gonna have a big category for like RPG this year.
Yeah,
because it's like there's a decent chance Kingdom Come's gonna be in there. We're gonna have Expedition in there.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if Oblivion Remaster makes its way in there. And then, it's not going to happen, but we can hope Digimon makes its way in there.
Yes, please. Let's go Time Stranger. It better, or we'll riot. Also, with all of that, with just how crazy of a Game Award's going to be, dude, our bracket's going to be a bloodbath this year. Our bracket's going to be a bloodbath this year.
I've got some suggestions for that, for like something else we can do alongside that I'll talk to you about after.
Okay. Yeah, because there are so many banger games out this year, dude, and I really feel like the bracket is going to be a bloodbath this year.
Well, that's what got me thinking about. I was like, he's gonna want to talk about this at some point. I got an idea already.
Okay. All right, bet. All right, let me shout out a sponsor, boys. Let's see. Let's shout out Rogue Energy. Use our referral link down below. Promo code Sparky3 to get 10% off your order. If they have a better sale going on, no big deal. If you use our referral link, you are still helping out the brand, regardless if you're picking up hydration, chill, or the energy line can, or the powder. Referral link and the promo code works for all of it. Promo code Sparky3 to get 10% off. Thank you. Boom.
Just gonna mention as well. Last little bit on Expedition. I was talking about it right before it came out, and then I'd been playing it. Buddy of mine that I play games with a lot started playing it.
Hell yeah.
And talked to him. I think he's about like 7 hours or something in. he'd started playing it, and I was talking to him about it earlier. But I was finding it hard to talk to him about, because I'm like, I don't know what to say to you because I don't want to spoil stuff.
Right.
Because he was talking to me. He's like, oh, who's in your party? I'm like, I don't want to tell you.
I feel that, because that's a little bit of a struggle that I've got with Christina, where she wants to play it, and like she'll be like, oh, do you want to come play in here, whatever, on the Series S. I'm like, I can't. I'm at a point I can't. You don't understand. You can't. There, she was about to come into the room, into my office, whenever like something was happening. I'm like, do not come in here. Just wait one moment. This is very important. So I can feel you on that. Oh, geez, that is funny though. Has he got to the first big curveball?
No, he had
I can't wait to hear about that.
He's probably right at it though.
He may have gotten further, because like when I talked to him this morning, he had played some after I had talked to him, or like after we had kind of hopped off Discord earlier. He played some more. But when I talked to him earlier, he had just gotten into the Gestural Village.
Oh,
okay.
And then he had played more after that. Or I had seen that he had played more.
Was he just standing around for like a couple hours?
Well, no. When I say he was 7 hours in, that was what I saw of his time when I came over here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he's probably there now.
He'd been playing.
I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts from you.
He's where he's talking to less people, because he's much more of like, the combat's too good. I want to be more in the combat.
Right. Combat is really good.
He also seems to almost be more approaching your style of gameplay.
Yes.
When I was talking to him,
brute force it.
When I was talking to him earlier, he is a parrier, not a dodger.
Yep.
Which, I mean, more power to you.
I dodge if necessary to learn the parry timing.
Right.
Which, if I will say, if you like parrying, you're going to be eating good. There's a lot of Picto support for parrying.
True.
Not as much for dodging.
True.
Yeah, most of the dodging ones are at the beginning of the game, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of like parry stuff. I see it and I'm like, I can't be bothered now. I'm too far in. It's like I'm too far in to be learning new stuff.
See, I've really made it my personal goal is to, be better at parries. Like that's been my goal this entire, from like middle act 2 to where I am now. I'm like you, Zach, where I dodge to learn mechanic, but there's some that my dumb brain and fingers, like I see the motion, but I can't compute it properly in my brain.
I've stopped paying attention to the motion. If you actually really pay attention,
there's an effect that happens.
There's both a visual and a sound effect.
Well, when I mean the motion, I mean me to controller.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean me to controller. Can't get it down where I know what to do, but my hand doesn't do it. So there are some attacks that I'm like, I can dodge it. I'll just dodge it. This one's coming. I can parry this one. And that's kind of, there's only a handful it's been like that for me.
I was just going to say, to Zach's point on like the sound and visual components to it, I told you guys I was doing a parry challenge yesterday. It got to the point, it took me a while to do. It got to the point where I was doing it. I was literally watching a video on my other monitor and just listening and just hitting the button.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, got hit by that. Just the string will continue.
Yep. Yeah. Once you know them, man, you got them on lock.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You got them on lock once you know them.
I've become very used to seeing the expedition counterattacks.
Right.
I didn't know you could parry big AoE attacks.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
He mentioned that to me earlier. I went, I've never seen those besides like the jumping counterattacks.
Mm-hmm. All right, boys. Let's talk about the Xbox deal. Let's talk about that.
Man, this did not take long.
Nope. Microsoft jumped on this.
Brother, you ain't lying.
They went, Nintendo.
Oh.
I've never seen a company follow behind so fast.
Dude, no joke.
Nintendo raises, I call.
Yeah. So Xbox this week, man, went through a lot of price hikes, in terms of game prices, first-party games. Some first-party games will be going up to that $80 price point later this year, but all hardware went up as well. Xbox Series S 512 gigabyte is now going to be $380. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte's now $430. And then here is some big ones for you. The Xbox Series X digital is now $550. The Series X is now $600, and the 2 terabyte Galaxy is now $730 freaking dollars.
That's not the important stuff. Keep reading.
I know. John's upset about this next one. So the basic controller is still $65. Special edition controllers have now been bumped up to $80.
You
limited
bitches.
limited edition controllers are now up to $90.
Bitches.
Coming from the controller collector. The Elite Core is still $150, and the standard Elite is now $200.
Legitimately, as you sent a message that they had happened, you're like, they're bumping up prices. I looked it up and I saw like control. I literally scrolled through everything. I saw the word controller and I went, oh, you motherfuckers. I just ordered another one too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not surprising. We knew someone was going to follow suit on this, right? I will say some of the
wireless headsets are now
$1.20
or $120.
Yeah, $120. I think they were like $110. So like everything went up at least like $10, with the exception of the consoles going up like either anywhere from like $80 to like $120 more, which is crazy. Because now it's like, dude, the Xbox Series X 2 terabyte, like it's cheaper than a PlayStation 5 Pro, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, that like if you take out the PS5 Pro out of the equation, I mean, Xbox Series X is still like the strongest console in the market. Like it's stronger than the PS5, just barely. But you know, you put the Pro back in, the Pro is the top dog. But it's still just like, dude, you're looking at like a 5-year-old console now up to $600 for it on a dying brand, by the way. And that's also something I wanted to chat about. I wanted you guys' thoughts on this because obviously with the Switch 2 thing.
Which one is that?
Doom.
Oh, did you get the Doom one?
Nice.
Did you buy it?
Yeah.
Because that is sick.
That's arriving tomorrow.
So they have the standard controller for the Doom. They have an Elite Doom. The standard one looks so much better, in my opinion, because for me, it's the buttons being like symbols from like Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what does
when you
it for
sent
me.
it to me initially, I think you sent me the Elite one.
I sent you both.
Well, I clicked on the Elite one first, and I looked at it and I went, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's
and I just ignored it, and then it was like a week ago, I got an article came up talking about it, and I went, that is not what he sent me. And immediately bought it.
Dude, it's sick. I want it too. But no, I want you guys' thoughts on this because I was also talking to Josh about this. Just my own personal theory on the price hikes and like the reception for it. Because obviously with the Switch thing, there was all the live streams being spammed with drop the price, and everyone like losing their shit at $80, everyone thinking the console is too expensive, which I think the console price is fine, but whatever. But everyone losing their shit about it, right? And now this happens, and I'm seeing some people like throw out little comments like, okay, everyone, keep the same energy. Let's keep the same energy. Let's make some noise about Xbox now. But it's like there's barely any noise.
There's
my
a
theory
key difference.
I do agree because, like, for me, my idea of the key difference personally is that you have a very desirable console and a less desirable console. That's my personal.
That's
take
not
on
my
it.
Key difference.
That's my key difference.
My key difference is this is Xbox.
Question: when you say is the desirable one the Switch 2 or is it the Xbox?
The Switch 2 is the desirable one.
Okay.
Yeah.
General consensus.
Yeah, the general consensus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, my key point is one of them is Nintendo, where people are gonna still buy it. They're gonna be angry about it, but they're still gonna buy it.
True. We saw how the pre-orders went.
The other one is it's Xbox.
Yeah.
And
Easy to clown.
We're talking, like the $80 games are those going to be the first party Xbox games, right?
Yes.
First party Xbox games show up on Game Pass day one.
True.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Is the expensive games, if you have Game Pass, you're still going to be able to play.
Which no price change to Game Pass right now.
Yeah. It's like as long as they don't start doing the thing where the games don't show up on Game Pass day one, because that's been their whole promotion. It's first party Microsoft games are day one Game Pass.
Yep.
As long as that continues, there's going to be less uproar from Microsoft doing it because
people can buy the console.
it's like people people don't necessarily buy Xbox games; they just play them on Game Pass.
True.
For the most part these days.
True.
Which is why I could see Xbox being like, well, we can raise the price for the few people that do actually buy the games.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of like the lack of discourse for like the console stuff, legit, like what I said about the desirability aspect, man, I was literally seeing people who are like Xbox players, even comments like, "Well, it wasn't selling anyway.
Yeah,
now it's really not going to sell."
That was what I was going to say. It's like people being mad about the Xbox price hike. It's like, well, you either have one or you weren't buying one anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. So like that's why I don't think there's a lot of massive discourse on this. Like, because it's like it wasn't selling anyway. Now, once Sony follows suit, because they will eventually. Once they follow suit, I think there will be some discourse on that one because PlayStation is a very desirable console, to the general consensus of the community. But I think while there is such a lack of discourse,
I
compared to
find
the
that hard
Switch,
to believe when you're one of the people of going, "Hey, you should go buy a PS5." Hey, go buy a PS5. Because there's a lot of people who I know have PS5s that go, "Hey, you should go buy a PS5. How much is it?" "Oh, it's this price." You should still go buy it though.
Right. It's just one of those things where it's like, as we've talked about on an endless amount on this show for years now, it's just PlayStation won the console wars between them. That's just what it is. So it's like, it sells more. We see the sales numbers on the PS5 and what it is and the player counts and everything.
It's weird to say, but I think if Sony was the first one to do it, there'd be less discourse overall.
Really? I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Probably.
Just because Sony has been in so highly regarded with their games that have come out and everything. It's like, because I mean they're the ones right now that everybody's got PlayStations because they have the exclusives everybody wants to play.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one where if they did it, I think there would have been, if they were the first ones to do it, I think there'd be less uproar with it. Because Nintendo doing it, it's like,
Didn't
okay,
expect
well,
the kind of thing.
it's like you're doing it, but you're also like, the games that you're going to be charging $80 for are going to be like an 8-hour experience, whereas the ones Sony are going to charge $80 for are probably going to be, it's like a lot of those are going to be like 30-hour games that are going to be Game of the Year contenders.
Right. And meanwhile, Nintendo does it for Mario Kart. Still mad about that. Still mad about it.
Then you got Xbox just wanting to be included in the conversation.
Yeah, and that's their quick way to do it. Now, I will say, once Game Pass prices, get a potential hike up, I think there's going to be a little bit of conversation around that. I mean, we just had a price hike, like last year.
Yeah.
And we just had a price hike like last year, where now like the 3-month plan's like $50 now, which is what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I have Game Pass right now. When I'm done with like Expedition and that, and then when I'm done with Expedition, I may start playing Oblivion like fairly soon afterwards. But once I finish those, there's not gonna be anything on Game Pass that I need it for.
Yeah, at least for a little while.
Because I have it, and it's like, when I have it, I download and play stuff. When I don't have it, I wait for a couple big hitters to come in, and then I get it again.
Right. I just keep mine on go. Just because I do play a lot of Xbox. I like Game Pass. Game Pass is great. I enjoy it. But no, once Game Pass gets in their price up, I think there's gonna be a lot more conversation. But I think you really did hit on the head of like, okay, yeah, these first party games are gonna be 80, but if it's as long as it's on Game Pass, we're good. As long as you don't change your Game Pass strategy, we're good. But
they've already made it confusing.
Yeah, right.
They've made it confusing to buy Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yep. But no, you ain't lying though. That boy, oh boy, did Xbox fall along with Nintendo very quick. You ain't lying on that one, brother.
I feel like it only took as long as it did because they had to make sure that like they had to make sure that all their website, everything, and they sent out all the emails going, okay, everything's going up. We gotta make sure everybody knows it's going up, and then we can just say that it happened.
Right. Well, I will say the console stuff going up the way that it is further marks the end of I feel like we're further approaching that end of Xbox as a brand. as we've talked about, like with whole like Phil Spencer having his title changed to head of Microsoft Gaming and stuff. I'm still very firmly in the boat. There's going to be at least one more generation for Xbox with hardware, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're coming to a close, in my opinion, because this is not going to help sales at all. Obviously, sales are going to be even more dog shit than they've already been, unfortunately, which sucks because they make such great hardware. But then we go through, every year it's like, this is the year of the games. This is the year of the games. That's how we felt last year. Great showcase last year. But then it's like when the showcase got announced, you're the one who made the comment where it's just like, I feel like we're just going to see a lot of the same games this year that we saw last year. Because everything got, and that's always the problem with Xbox. Like, well, this is the year. This is the year. It's not the year. This is the year. This year. It's not the year. So it's just an unfortunate battle for
it's
Xbox.
like last year, some of the big games that we saw. I mean, now we've gotten to play.
Yeah, like Expedition, which, not an Xbox
like
title, but
Expeditions,
you know what I
like
mean?
South of Midnight.
Yeah.
Like you guys really enjoyed.
Mhm.
But it's stuff like that where it's like Xbox finally started putting on good showcases, but it's like it still takes a year and a half to see any of those games, and half those games we still don't see.
Yeah, the payoff for it. And I am in the boat with you where I think a lot of the stuff we're going to see at the showcase this year is going to be a rehash of some of the stuff last year. So I don't know. Would hate to see Xbox go away as a brand because competition is good, but I do see a road. If not next generation, but the generation after that, the only hardware we'd have would be PlayStation, Nintendo. I do see that as a possible avenue, and Microsoft just becoming like taking the Sega route. Just like, we're just going to focus on making great games. That's that. I see that as an unfortunate possibility.
They can't take that route because we don't have a list of games for Microsoft to do that with.
What do you mean?
They don't release anything.
Sooner or later they will. Come on.
Well, you've
been
saying that for 7 years.
I know.
You literally just downcast your own thing of saying. I mean, in terms of what you're saying, are we going to see Xbox disappear as a brand? Quite possibly.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're just going to completely disappear from hardware. I think they're just going to label it Microsoft Gaming.
Right.
What we've seen from like rumors and reports that's what it's being referenced as in-house.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, what hardware would you make then? I mean, Xbox is the recognizable brand. Would you just rename? Would you make just a new piece of box?
That's what we've talked about before. They're going to make a generic box, and they're going to call it. It's going to be a generic box
to play Game Pass.
Yeah,
Just be called like Microsoft Home or something like that.
Right. I think that's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
But then they would just make it Microsoft Home Games.
Hey, don't be surprised if you see a Microsoft Steam collab for hardware. Don't be surprised if that happens too.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if literally they just named whatever their generic box ends up becoming Game Pass.
Right. I mean, that's a good possibility as well.
So that when you think of Game Pass, you think of the box that it comes in.
True. That is a possibility.
That's at this point, that's all Xbox is. It's Game Pass.
Game Pass, yeah. That's their
It's
MO.
Game Pass in the medium that you play it in.
Mm-hmm. However you play it, even if it means playing it on your smart TV built in.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I mean, it's like that's like Xbox for me right now it's my PC because that's where I play all my Game Pass games.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I played the last few of them. That's where I'm playing Expedition. Where I'm gonna play Oblivion. It's like my Xbox is there for if I want to download something and play it while I'm like reclined back in my chair.
So we'll play Half-Life 3.
That ever happens. One day, maybe. All right, let's shout out some merch, boys. Let's shout out some Agent Ink. Use our referral link down below to pick up a jersey, pick up a hat, or go over to Sparky3shop.com and you can pick up one of the shirts or the hats over there, like the We Have Hats hat, or the B shirt, or the Lonely Boy, or anything of the sort. But yeah, use the referral link down below for Agent Ink, or head over to Sparky3shop.com. Pick up some merch. We'd appreciate that. All right, GTA 6 got delayed. No surprise there. At least we actually have a actual date now versus, it'll come when it comes. May 26 is when it's coming out. Shout out. The one thing that I thought that I loved about this was like this news came out and like everyone's like just making a joke. So it's just like the entire gaming industry just had a massive sigh of relief because now they can announce when their games are coming out. Because everyone has been trying to dodge GTA 6 release.
Yes.
That's why I mean, Ghost of Yotei got all of the news when they announced their release date.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, They're like, oh my god, they picked a date before GTA 6 said anything.
How bold.
And I mean,
They just rolled the dice and went, they're not coming out this year.
Yeah, right, right. Now we get to start seeing some games actually get like release dates and actually get that kind of hammered out, because like I said, everyone was trying to actively avoid GTA 6 window, and everyone was holding off on release dates because of that, except for one publisher. They're stepping up to the challenge, and that is Devolver Digital. Devolver Digital apparently tweeted back on March 26th saying, gonna release a game the exact day and time as GTA 6. And now when this announcement came out for GTA 6 release date, they now quote tweeted that original post saying, you can't escape us. May 26, 2026 it is then.
I'm just wondering what the heck Devolver Digital just has in the chamber.
Ready to go.
Just ready to throw out.
I can't wait.
They've got 100 things. They take the shotgun approach.
Right.
I mean, they really do. I mean,
they say they're going to release one game. They're probably going to release 6. And if one of them does decently well, they're going to be like, GTA 6 didn't stop us.
Yeah, right.
it'll be probably like the 4th remaster of Castle Crashers.
Yeah, it's like they're just going to throw something out. And if it sells decently well, then they're going to make a statement.
I'm going to be honest, because Devolver Digital is, as weird as it is to say, a very good publisher, apparently.
Mm.
But I don't know what they do half the time.
Right.
Because even their showcases, when they have any, is just a fever dream half the time.
True. Facts.
So I honestly, Devolver Digital, do your thing, because I still have no clue after all these years, have any clue what you do.
I agree. They just exist, and they meme. They live in the memes, very deep in the memes.
They're somehow successful.
Yeah, which I can't wait to see what they're gonna have come out the same day as GTA 6. What are you gonna send out to the plate? I want to see it.
I don't know.
That's going to be part of the marketing.
It is. It's going to be.
Whatever game it is, it's going to be part of the marketing of coming out the same day as GTA 6.
I don't know. Maybe a little release Grand Theft Farmville. I don't know.
Oh, God. Shout out to Devolver Digital for stepping up to the plate there. But also shout out to GTA 6 officially getting that delay, because I think we all called that. And it really opens the door for some other titles to have like that chance for like a game of the year sort of slot. Because in my opinion, GTA 6 is a game of the year.
See, the worst thing I think is that everyone was trying to dodge GTA 6, and everyone, as far as, was probably like half expecting it to come out this year. So it may throw people's development lines, because they were developing to hit beginning of next year.
Right.
But now, hey, GTA 6 here, and they're just like, well, damn, now either we do a quicker development so we can get it out this holiday season.
True.
Or we wait until like the second or first quarter of next year, because I forget how their algorithm works.
Right.
So
Yeah.
It's funny that like, from their perspective, they're like, okay, we got to dodge GTA because the world's going to be taken over by GTA. Meanwhile, I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, man, GTA needs to go and announce stuff so that everybody else can announce around them, so I know what I'm playing later in the year, because I'm not playing GTA.
Yeah, right. And that's the one exciting thing out of this, especially now that we're in, like, we just hit May, we're approaching June, where it's like the big time of big showcases and stuff, is that, okay, when these showcases come, I expect to see some holiday release dates, right? GTA is out of the window. What am I playing this fall? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Give me that Time Stranger date, damn it.
It's a thing of like, we've seen a lot of,
You're gonna be playing Tomodachi Life.
yeah, we've seen a lot of by the
That's
end of
next year.
2025 or coming this year. I don't care anymore if you're coming this year. Tell me when you're coming.
Yeah,
Let me plan out what games I'm playing.
true. All eyes for us on Digimon, so just waiting on that one, which I fully expect to get that next month. Hoping for it, obviously. So I need to know exactly when that one's coming out.
Like choosing May of next year.
Stop.
I mean, Digimon Survive did something similar. They came out whenever there was like a big game out, from what I remember.
What was it?
Didn't they, John?
Yeah.
I don't know. I played Digimon.
I know you played Digimon Survive.
I don't know what else.
Because it
what
wasn't.
else came out.
I want to say it was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. because I led off the show joking that we had all played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 when obviously that was not the case. Even though
because it was the same thing. It was a big game that everyone else cared about, but we just didn't care about.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite example of like big games that come out that everybody's talking about, and we're like, not for us. Is still Elden Ring.
Yeah,
even though full circle, you've played Elden Ring now.
Still, but it's like that came out. And it's basically like we start out the show. It's like
that's what everyone's feed was.
Everybody's feed's Elden Ring. Everybody's talking about Elden Ring. We start the show. We're like, we're not talking about Elden Ring.
Yeah, just go ahead and lead it off like that. And you know what's funny? We would have had the exact same situation later this month, which this is in the weekly wrap up. So I'll go ahead and shout it out now. But Lost Soul Aside delayed. It got a delay to August. And that game was set to come out the same day as Elden Ring Night Rain. And you best damn believe I was going to walk into Gamesthetic that weekend and talk about Lost Soul Aside. I was not going to be talking about Elden Ring Night Rain.
I mean, none of us are Elden Ring players.
Yeah, it's just not. We're
not going to talk about it anyway, other than a mention that it happened.
Yeah,
it came out. And it's probably successful.
Here's the scores. Here's how it went, kind of thing. But yeah, that was going to be a Lost Soul Aside episode, ladies and gentlemen.
The heck is Lost Soul Aside?
It was that JRPG that got revealed in like the last state of play that really stood out with like some really cool like physics, where you have like the almost like the bladed snake dragon thing that follows around with the dude.
I don't know.
I have no recollection of this.
The problem is there were like 4 good-looking JRPGs in that showcase.
Tides of Annihilation was the other one that looked really good. This game
is Lost Soul Aside. Is that the like the Final Fantasy?
That's the one I missed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, because I remember Tides of Annihilation.
I'm looking forward to Tides of Annihilation quite a bit. That game looks great.
Yeah, that's the one I missed because it was like at the very beginning of the show, wasn't it?
It's gonna be this is like a JRPG year somehow.
Yeah, it really is. No, with the Lost Soul Aside delay though, I'll just say it makes sense. This game I talked about it recently on the weekly wrap up. It's had a very long developmental cycle, right? It originally started off as like a AA game. Sony got involved because they really liked the idea and the project, and they are what allowed it to become a AAA that it is. You're coming out the same day as Elden Ring, which unfortunately the vast of people are going to be playing Elden Ring, and you're also like 5 days away from the Switch 2. Kind of a bad spot to release in for like your debut game, that's not like riding the hype of like, let's say, Expedition. So put it back later in the year. It comes out apparently the day after Metal Gear Solid Delta. I don't think those audiences align at all. In my opinion,
they probably do a little, but I mean, it's a remaster versus a new game.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it pushing back to August 29th gives Lost Soul Aside a chance to actually breathe. I feel like it coming out the same day as Elden Ring, as well as right before the Switch 2, would not have got to breathe.
Either that, or I'm gonna get to see a lot of memes in my feed of just people playing Snake Eater and watching Lost Souls Aside disappear.
Right. That is a possibility. I hope not, because Lost Soul Aside looks sick. I am looking forward to it.
I mean, you know how this show goes. We like the games that don't get the attention a lot of times.
True.
Everybody else will be talking about the Elden Ring or something, and we're over here like, so Lost Soul Aside came out.
Yeah, it's like, how about that? Shout out. Oh, jeez.
Or by that time, we'll probably have some random indie game you and me have found.
I'm waiting on a release date for one.
Which one?
Fellowship.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on that. When that release date comes out, God help anything else that's in its way.
God help
I'm
anything
not playing
else.
it.
Oh, that's funny.
It was solid from the little bit I got to play. I mean, I just hope more dungeons.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's like I am just waiting news on that game because I was talking to a buddy about it. I was like, man, in 2025, I did not expect one of my most anticipated games of the year to be an MMO dungeon crawler.
Hey, one other thing I want to shout out real quick with Expedition 33, and then we can chat the Borderlands 4 stuff, is because it made me think about what you said just now. It reminded me with how you said it's like, we know how this show goes. Like, we're going to be playing Lost Soul Aside, for example, right? It's just how we operate. So it reminded me of a comment from Sandfall involving their partnership with Xbox. So, Sandfall says that their partnership with Xbox was, was a big key to their success. With the quote saying at the Xbox showcase, it was placed next to Gears of War, Fable, and AAA games, and let people understand what Expedition was in a way that we would have struggled to do so if it wasn't allied with Xbox. And I read that, and I really think that's pretty true. Because the first thing that I thought of that my brain kind of connected this to of like, what, that makes sense, was Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong dropped in 2020 in a random 10-minute trailer. I think it was via, it just dropped, right? Me and you caught it immediately, and we were on the hype train immediately. But me and you can also both agree, because we saw the comments as we got to the year of release where people are just like, yeah, this looks pretty good, but I'm going to really need to see some gameplay. I need to see more on it. Brother, you got like 4 years worth of stuff to go watch.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so it's like, I think that rings pretty true that like it getting a chance to have that big spotlight in the Xbox showcase immediately got more eyes on it than if they would have just gone and done their own thing like Black Myth did. Because Black Myth didn't really gain extreme hype until the year of its release.
I mean, not even really until like
it
the
released.
yeah. Like the weeks
yeah, exactly.
before.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first thing I thought of.
I will say the difference was like,
yeah, because I'm gonna agree with. I don't think Expedition could have pulled a friggin' PAL World and just being such a outrageous game out there, and then just dropping with very little people talking about it besides like a couple weeks out. So.
True.
I don't know, because it's one where for me, the trailer sold me on Expedition immediately.
Agreed.
Because it was one of those where it's like, because that was during the Xbox showcase. But if it got the same trailer, but it was just like in the Summer Game Fest
or just by itself,
showcase,
random
or
upload.
like by itself, if I watched that trailer, I'd still be sold.
I was about to say, it would have caught both you and me, and probably Alex too.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where it's like, most people, like Summer Game Fest is one of those where if it was just in that one, people don't pay as much attention to Summer Game Fest. It's like, I'm one of the rare examples of somebody who is like, that's the showcase I look forward to.
Yeah.
Because that's where I find like the niche little games that I get super excited about.
Yeah. I just, I just feel like, those random drops and stuff, it just does, and they don't usually gain as many eyes, know? Because Black Myth's a good example. There's a game coming out this month that looks honestly really cool. It got a random drop from a pretty notable studio, and that's Blades of Fire from Mercury Steam. Sorry.
Oh, did that come out this month?
It's coming out this month.
Oh, okay.
But again, no one's talking about it. It wasn't part of a showcase. It was just, here's our game, and then it's like, while, this other game, caught our eyes, you thought, said, hey, that looks fucking sick. Blood of the Dawnwalker was the same thing. It had its like one day of like people kind of talked about it, and now it's like no one's talking about it. So it's like, I
feel like that one's more like
that one's a little bit higher up the chain.
That one's also more like the Black Myth Wukong example, where it's like here's something we'll see in a year.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see where Sandfall's coming from, because they not only did they have that showcase in last year's Xbox showcase, but they also had the developer direct in January, which they were a key focus on.
Being a part of a major direct, like. The trailer, like I said, the trailer spoke for itself and showed this is something to keep an eye on, but it being showcased in a major direct.
More or less them having Xbox publish them really helped out and shows the point of having a publisher and what having a good publisher can do for your game.
Facts.
Because like if it didn't have Xbox or someone else helping push its stuff and giving it these opportunities to show off, with just how the game is, I feel like it would have still done solid.
Yeah, it would still have been very successful.
But it would have probably crept a little bit more.
Yeah.
And been more of a sleeper hit than a big hit as it has been.
Facts.
If it didn't have the big name behind it, it's going to be a weird comparison because it has a big name behind it.
Yeah.
But I would almost see it taking the same trend that like Horizon Zero Dawn did. Because Horizon Zero Dawn, it was backed by PlayStation.
Yes.
It was marketed by them. But that's a game that just sat in the background for years.
Bad release timing.
And then just over time.
Yes, the first one did, didn't it?
Yeah, the first one, it was like that several year period where it just sat in the back. It sat on everybody's backlog. Yeah. And then they played it. And everybody spoke highly of it. I feel like Expedition would have been that. It probably would have got a bigger peak because, like, once something is shown to be excellent, it tends to make its way out there and people find it. It would have just taken a while instead of the immediate hit.
Yeah.
Right. No, I can agree to that.
Because I think the other thing with it, I mean, as much as we enjoyed it and how well it looked, it would have also been the thing of with how we've seen now with how big it is and just how little information about the in-game stuff is, that could have also hurt it in the on the off stuff if it didn't have as much showing as it did.
Yeah, right.
Because of people looking for information, being like, "Well, I have like the beginning of the game. What's going on with the deep dive into it?"
Yeah, exactly.
I will say as well, like a decent this is speaks to that kind of is my buddy that's been playing it.
Mhm.
One of the first things I asked him is like us knowing the context behind the game and like watching the deep dives and like knowing kind of the story behind it. I asked him, I said, "What'd you think of the opening?" And he
Hell
goes,
yeah.
he goes, "I mean, it was okay. I didn't really know what was going on because the game assumes you know what's happening,
Yeah,
and it kind of
okay,
just throws you in a story. And while we appreciate that because we know the context, or at least we knew some of the context behind it before going into it, as someone who hadn't seen it for the first time, I was like, "What'd you think of it?" He was like, it was pretty good." It was like I got hooked a little later on, and I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, because if he hadn't been watching like the promotional stuff, which sort of gives the initial background setting, I could see that.
Yeah, I could too.
But yeah, it's like, and I feel like that's a lot of the people that went into it. Is I feel like most people aren't going into it. They're not watching the deep dives. They're not looking up all the information about it, trying to know as much as possible.
I mean, there's probably a good portion of people who just saw it on Game Pass and went, "Oh, this seems interesting."
Yeah, it's probably a bunch of people who like saw an article or something that was like Expedition 33 blowing like all the numbers and everything, and they're like scrolling through Game Pass later and go, "Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Right.
I saw this was supposed to be good."
Yeah. No, that is true, and that is a really interesting thought of and story of just someone who hasn't seen all the marketing material and what it does. Which I think you're right. I think it does speak to the fact that if this would have just been a random trailer drop, it would have obviously still been a great game. 'Cause it's a well quality game, but again, the publishing element it does so much for it. So again, big kudos to Sandfall, man. Big kudos to Sandfall, and also just look like what kind of led into all this. Looking forward to Lost Soul Aside when it comes out and it has a chance to breathe later on. All right, so you guys got anything you guys want to shout out? If not, we'll go through the weekly wrap up, which we'll kick off with the Borderlands 4 State of Play that Zach checked out and kind of feel a little bit better about it.
I mean, I would honestly like to say a lot more about because this was actually our Vault Hunter State of Play,
Right.
as well as talking about Vault Hunters, guns, skills, all that fun stuff, and just giving overall gameplay feel. So they only went into their two of the Vault Hunters really. We have our new Siren Hex, and then our sort of the assassin type character, who is apparently like a Terrador X assassin or soldier. And if you don't remember, Terrador was the guns that were like the real reliable guns that to reload you threw it at people.
Yeah, they're the ones that usually playing those guns. You shoot one time and then you throw the gun, and it does more. It does more damage while throwing it.
It just digitizes a new weapon into your hand because then we also have a berserker type character who they didn't go into, and as well as a mechanic type character. For each of the characters, they are sort of unique looking as usual. But the big thing in this one, because I don't remember in 3, John, you're going to have to remind me, each character has 3 different action skills in this one. Was it just one action skill in 3?
Well, it was... So the way 3 worked was it was one action skill that you could modify with 3 different. It was basically you had one action skill, but you modified it in like one of 3 different
tech trees.
Key ways.
So it still had the traditional Borderlands. In this one, you actually have 3 different skills that you can actively swap between. So each character has 3 different skills, but you can only have one equipped at a time. And then each of those skills have 3 different spec trees. So like they mainly focused on the Siren. So for Hex, like one of her skills is she has a psionic blast that shoots forward and does damage, versus the other one, which she summons a familiar instead. And her biggest thing, her main core thing is that her abilities do whatever elemental damage the weapon she's currently using is. So you can actively switch between elements with her as well based on your weapon build.
Okay, that's kind of interesting.
Yes, and then as I said, each skill has its own three significant tech trees you can go down to expand on them whatever way you're wanting to. Um, the assassin type character, his whole kit's apparently going to be different things where he creates something with he's wearing like an exosuit, like the one they showed. He more or less creates two giant plasma arm blades and can just go in and start cutting people and start spinning. So his whole three skills are going to be some form of construct building.
Okay.
Our berserker guy, the main skill that they showed of him is gunzerking with axes. So he's a Viking.
Okay.
And then our tech character, the only real thing it showed her is she actually has, funny enough, Maya's trap bubbles, but as a tech ability instead of a psionic one, which is sort of funny.
That's funny. I would have almost assumed like the tech character to be like the pet character, but it's the siren.
Yeah, last time the pet character was the tech character, and same was with a pre-sequel with Wilhelm. And then in terms of guns, they changed it up a little bit. They're going back to their old loot system, so guns aren't going to be as rarity relevant.
I have a question about weapons because I saw a picture that was attached to an article. It didn't give me the actual information. It just led me to believe. Can you swap parts out on guns?
So no,
Okay.
they didn't necessarily say that. So more or less how guns work with this game is, so as well as having the manufactured guns themselves, you have a base gun, and then because of, they didn't really explain why, guns are going to have different parts from different manufacturers.
Okay. That's Borderlands 2 as well. Borderlands 2 had the base weapon that would drop,
Mhm.
and then each of the parts that were associated with it could be from the different brands. And it was basically
That was the enhancements.
well, no, that was for on the weapon and shields themselves because it would basically give you the prefix or the affix of the weapon. So it would be like more shielding or more ammo. Or like for a weapon, certain parts would give
I
you
vaguely remember
certain
that.
parts would give you more ammo, but certain parts would give you more raw damage.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as much of a focus, I don't think, as they're kind of showing it.
This
here.
one they're more focusing because like you can have like a base Jacob's weapon, but then like the barrel's like Molly one, so you have like a fast trigger pulling weapon with elemental damage. And it's going to be RNG rolls is from what they said.
Okay.
So you're going to get guns with just all kinds of random effects. They do have what's replacing the artifacts, which is like a chip enhancement that you equip that gives you specific bonuses if a gun has a specific manufacturer's parts or whatnot. So you'll get some bonus if that gun has said manufacturer bonus or manufacturer part on it. They did specifically mention, since people disliked how easily you got rare guns in 3, they've reset their loot tables, so it's going to be more of a thing of more rewarding for getting higher tier weapons and whatnot. And
that'll be nice because Borderlands 3 was kind of just like you could have nothing but legendaries in Borderlands 2, but you had to go farm specific enemies for them. Whereas in Borderlands 3, I mean, by like level 12, all you have are legendaries.
Yeah, it was
like,
pretty bad.
It's like every zone you went into would drop legendaries.
Yeah.
Like just constantly.
Yeah. And then they showed off a couple characters, returning characters. The Siren from 3 and Zane are coming back. Moxie's still around. This is more or less like a continuation of from 3 with some time passed. Because did you beat 3, John?
I think so. I don't know. I've played 3 a bunch of different times. I don't remember if I've beaten it. That one was hard to get into.
It is hard to get into because I've won. But more or less, apparently at some point at the end of the game, Lilith teleports an entire moon. And that sort of sets up for 4 because the moon and its trajectory pass runs into this hidden world that someone named the Timekeeper's been hiding away. And that's more or less, with the moon crashing into it, has led to an uprising against the Timekeeper because he was more or less leading a dictatorship from what it sets up as. Yeah, and then it showed a little bit of gameplay, in which I liked how they did their gameplay. It wasn't like a stage thing. It actually was just 2 people playing the game, and from looking at it, I was like, okay, this looks like a Borderlands game I've played and looks like fun. Because they were just looting, shooting, having fun with skills and whatnot, yada yada yada. So I mean, after seeing this one, I feel a little bit better about Borderlands 4. Seems a bit more intriguing to me this time around versus 3.
Right.
I will be curious to see some of the more abilities for each of the characters. Because again, in this one, they mostly only showed Hex. There is a lot more traversal stuff in this one. Everyone has their own specific. It's pretty much a ghost from Halo.
Okay.
Everyone has that on hand. You can summon it, unsummon it like a mount. There's like some glide mechanics, some free falling mechanics, a lot more dashing and sliding in this one you can do around with, as well as like an environmental combat. Like everyone apparently has a sort of like a grapple because there's items just on the field that you can grab and throw at enemies. You can punch barrels to send at enemies that are designated different elements. So you have all the different element barrels you can kick towards people for environmental fighting, all that stuff and whatnot. They did change medkits a little. Apparently, instead of just being health items, they can also have like a special thing where when you heal, they also give you some sort of bonus. So that's going to be an equipment piece, sort of like how shields were. And shields are still a thing, but along with that, you're going to have medkit specific things like whenever you heal, you get some sort of damage bonus or extra health, something like that. So,
so that almost sounds like they've taken away like you said the word earlier, but like what they replaced the chip with.
yeah, the
It's
artifacts.
it almost sounds like they're fusing the artifact with like a new slot that is only active when you heal,
Quite possibly.
which makes more sense because like artifacts were
I could
love
do
them,
without 'em.
love them or hate them. It's like it was small bonuses that affected. It was like they were small things, but they did make a difference. So it did feel bad sometimes. It's like, well, I want to be doing something else, but this artifact is really good for this.
Yeah.
So having it be more of like a occasional thing that activates could be helpful.
Yeah. And then they also did mention the state of play that they apparently somehow revamped their online lobbies so it's much more quicker for in and out for people to join up and whatnot.
Right. One question that I had, because I know you said that you're overall just feeling a lot better about it. Both of you were in the mindset of, hey, it looks like Borderlands.
Yeah.
You know, which fair. Is this like one of those things where it's like now you're like really interested in like getting this like kind of immediately kind of thing, or still like, I'll get it when I get it.
I'd be more likely to pick it up sooner. Maybe
Okay.
not initially release week, just depending on what's going on in September.
That's fair.
But I mean, it's definitely one I'd be very much interested in playing in because I mean, yes, it does look like Borderlands, but it feels like they did hear what people were saying about 3 and have changed to make it look like it's be fun doing a looter shooter again.
Gotcha. Yeah, which that has been moved up to September 12th. It was like a week or two early. It got moved up.
So here's my question. I know you said they only really showed off 2 of the Vault Hunters and kind of what they had going on. Do the Vault Hunters look more interesting than the ones in 3? Because part of my
based on what I saw, to me, yes.
Because like I was thinking back on 3. Part of my problem with 3 is I didn't like any of the Vault Hunters.
See, the only ones I really remember is the Siren because I always play Siren, and then the cyborg guy with the pets. But apparently, they brought back Zane, the assassin guy, because apparently he was more of a fan favorite, supposedly.
Yeah. I don't know. I tend to move. I tend to always prefer playing or like moving towards like the pet characters.
Yeah. And then I don't even remember the 4th character.
In 3, you had the Siren. You had, I think the other one's name was Mose, who summoned like the big, like armored tank kind of.
Right, her.
And then you had
Zane.
You had Zane. Zane was kind of the run and gun guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's the one who had the after image, I believe.
And then you had the other guy was the one who like, I think he summoned like a dog or
yeah, he had some sort of pet.
He had various different types of pet summons. But yeah, it's like that was besides like not enjoying the story of 3 and like the actual gameplay of it feeling kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't vibe with any of the Vault Hunters. It's probably the first Borderlands game I didn't like any of the Vault Hunters.
Yeah, because I mean, usually I like Sirens, even though they're not one of the necessarily flashiest gameplays. But Amara was her name in 3. Her power wasn't very fun.
Yeah, that was like because when you were talking about the powers of these guys, that reminded me in 3 it was the thing of you could pick between 3 different action skills, but you unlocked them at various levels.
Okay.
So it was like you would start with one, and then as you leveled up, you would get put points in the tree,
Yeah.
and then you would unlock another one, and then once you were high enough level, you could pick between any of them, and then that was the one that you used.
Yeah, but based on the skill tree they showed in this game, more or less once you unlock the initial active ability, because each of the characters have there's like core that each one that it's basing it about. Like as I said, Hex's whole core thing is her element damages whatever her gun's element is.
Yeah.
So as soon as you activate that active ability, you can freely choose from all 3 of them from what it looked like.
Okay. Yeah, I may have to actually look into it a bit more because that's one thing is like, yeah, I mean you could have a great Borderlands game, but if I'm not, it could be fantastic. But if I don't vibe with any of the Vault Hunters, I'm not gonna have a fun time.
I mean, out of her 3 powers, the psionic blast, I mean, it's a thing, but it didn't seem interesting. But the whole pet one might be interesting to me.
Well, yeah, it's a Scion. You gotta have some sort of, you gotta have some sort of like psionic ability kind of to use.
And then based off the little bit they showed of the other 2, I mean, the Viking guy gave me hard Gunzerker vibes, just with axes instead of guns.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it because that was one of the things. Like Borderlands 2, I mean, Salvador is the most popular. He's like the most popular favorite Vault Hunter of all time.
Yeah,
I didn't like him. I didn't like guns.
I could understand that. And then the tech character, I'd be curious to see what her other powers is, because I mean, her whole bubble thing seems interesting and it looks like it could be actually sort of fun, because like where Maya, she had like the single cage, she's just going do 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 do, and just everyone's now in bubbles.
Yeah, honestly, that of the characters you've mentioned, that's the one that I'm like, that might be the one that I would have my eye on. That or the I don't normally play the Scions, but
The Siren, yeah.
or the Siren, yeah. It's like I would probably be more interested in one of those 2 characters.
And with how they did phrase it in the video, they said our 4 Vault Hunters at launch, implying that they may release more in DLC later on.
Sounds like it.
I don't, because they started that with pre-sequel. No, they started that with 2. My bad. Did they release any more Hunters for 3? Because I didn't keep up.
I think
with
it was only 4.
Okay,
or
so
the 4 Vault Hunters. Because pre-sequel they only had no, because they added the ice.
They added the Ice Lady and then Jack's clone.
Was Jack's clone DLC?
Yeah.
Oh, that's primarily what I played, I think.
Yeah, just later along, you pretty much got that with the game, because the initial pre-sequel was her name Catalan?
I don't remember any of their names.
It was the lady with the whip, Wilhelm with his drones, or mech, Claptrap, and then Athena.
Yeah, because I think the first time I played as Wilhelm, and then every time after that I played as Jack's clone.
Yeah, then they added Jack's clone, and then what's his face sister.
Yeah, I know Aurelia.
Yeah, and then 2, as far as I'm concerned, still has most entertaining cast in form of Krieg. Giga, I think her name was, with her bot. Gage, yeah. And then there was one other one that they added as DLC, I want to say. Because there was someone in between Gage and Krieg, I want to say. Or maybe I'm making that up.
I think it was just Krieg and Gage. I could be wrong on that.
That's quite possible.
It's been a while since I played. I mostly played that game as Gage.
Yeah. And I played as, once Krieg came out, because Krieg's fun.
Yeah, and from the way they kind of worded that, it does sound like they'll probably just add some more characters on later for you.
I mean, I think they slightly worded that the same way when they did 3, but they saw how 3 was received and just went,
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind.
We'll just push out
Yeah,
the regular
we'll-
DLC.
It's
move
one
on to
where
other
like
things.
ever since Borderlands 2 and even pre-sequel, because pre-sequel was a weird game where it's like it was a game that like initially people didn't vibe with as well, but I think over time kind of became beloved.
Yeah, because that one was also suffered because of how its initial receive. The team that was working on pre-sequel got cut, so they apparently had like 2 more DLC for that game that just never got released.
But yeah, that's one where it's like, I mean, those games were ended up being successful, so they're always kind of hoping that they can do like that Borderlands 2 and just release 9 DLCs for it.
Yeah, recapture that magic. I feel like that's what they've been trying to do. Someone look from the outside looking in. That's what it looks like.
The one other thing they did mention the state of play is besides some of our traditional gun manufacturers we're used to, there is 3 new ones being introduced in this game that are unique to the Timekeeper's world, which I forget what it's called. They said the name of the world, but I don't remember.
I mean, that'd be cool. They've been doing that since pre-sequel, really, where
Yeah.
they introduce new weapon types that don't make their way into the next games, which I'm fine with. They're generally interesting.
I feel like that also just kind of keeps that one particular title, something unique about it. I don't know. That's just me guessing, but
They usually keep the fan favorites like Jacobs, Mollywan, Torque.
Yeah, it's like they've got the like I think it's like the core 4 because it's Tor, Jacobs, TDR, Mollywan, and
There's just one more I'd have to go by, but those are the ones I usually use because Theodore and Mollywan's from Borderlands 2, and then Torque and Jacobs are the only surviving members from Borderlands 1.
but yeah, it's like I mean it's Borderlands. I play every Borderlands. Whether I play it when it comes out is gonna be dependent on what's out.
That's right. They did also change one other thing where they now have what they're calling the ordnance slot, which is for whatever the heavy weapons. So like you're gonna have beside your 4 weapon slots, you'll have your ordnance spot, which is for like rocket launchers. This new sort of chain gun they actually show off in the state of play demo. They also mentioned grenades in there. So for any of your like big heavy weapons, and
Are they moving rockets to that slot?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And instead of them being like timed to ammo slots or whatnot with low ammos and whatnot, it's just on a cooldown, so it's more available.
Okay. That'll be nice because that's one thing where it's like, because in some of the Borderlands games, it's like by the time you get to the end of the game, it's like you could just, or especially if like by the time you're like max level or something, you can just run through with some of the more powerful rockets and that and clear maps with a couple shots.
But at the same time, you've usually been saving it for like boss fights because like you want it for a boss fight.
Yeah, having it not rely on it and it being more of like an oh shit button.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I was fine with that too because like they in the like little tech demo, the gameplay demo, they use it like 3 or 4 times, and it's like it's about almost 20 minutes of gameplay across it with them going through the systems and everything. Well, I take that back. The whole video itself is 20 minutes, but some more like a 15-minute gameplay video.
So are rockets and grenades going to be vying for that slot? Because if they're both vying for that slot, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's going to be a grenade slot for me most of the time. Because the grenades are always way more interesting than the rockets.
They are. They sort of referenced it in sort of like the ordnance, but they didn't go in the full depth of what the ordnance, besides it being like, this is going to be your heavy weapon, and it's going to be on a cooldown.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess that would be a way to kind of curb some of the power that they've put into those slots.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, historically in Borderlands games, one of your more powerful slots is going to be your grenade slot.
Yeah. Because they didn't really deep dive into grenades and how that mostly was just ordnance, main weapons, abilities, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
A little bit of the traversal systems they've added in.
I may look at it a little bit because, like I said, it's one where It's on my radar because it's Borderlands. It's not high on the radar. It's one of those where it's like, if something else interesting comes up around it, I'm more likely to play the more interesting thing, and then have that on the back burner is something I can go back to.
3 set a very low bar for the Borderlands community.
I could tell. I could tell.
I've played through Borderlands 1, 2, and pre-sequel a half dozen times each, if not more. I couldn't tell you if I've beat 3.
That's sad.
I know I did not beat 3 because
I'm leaning towards probably didn't. I think I played up till pretty close to the end, and it kind of hit that point where I'm like, this isn't doing it for me.
See, I'm pretty sure I played up to the end of the first planet, and I didn't even go to the second planet.
Yeah. 3 is a very dark spot in Borderlands.
The only bad part about the state of play is Randy was in it.
I get that I get that they want it, that like he thinks he's the face. I get that he's excited about it.
Everyone's tired of seeing him.
Get away from it, and it'll be marketed better.
He showed up at first. I went, I hate you.
It like literally, he shows up on screen and people groan.
Like, oh,
It's
this
like,
guy again.
Anytime Borderlands is showed off, it's got to lead with him, and it's like the internet as a whole groans. They're like, I mean, we'd like to see Borderlands. We don't want to see you, Randy.
Luckily, he had a very small bit, so it was fine. He literally showed up to be like, we're here to show off Borderlands 4. He did his
Randy
thing
things.
he likes to do.
Randy
Dude,
things.
Man, I will never get the Borderlands 3 announcement showcase out of my goddamn. It's burned into my brain with how fucking bad it was. It was the most awkward show I've ever seen.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. You guys have.
Nothing worked either. Nothing worked, and he ran everything into the ground with like awkwardness.
Just get away from Borderlands, Randy. We're tired of seeing you.
Randy, you run a good company in Epic Games. We just don't need you in the promotional stuff.
Just go run things behind the scenes. Stay back there,
Put
buddy.
someone else's face on it, man. We don't need it. Everybody's got bad memories of you right now. Come back in like Borderlands 5 or 6.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more welcoming. So, yeah, shout out to Borderlands 4. Shout out to the new release date of September 12th and the state of play. Looks like it could be a little promising after the dark days that was Borderlands 3. All right, let me start going through the rest of the weekly wrap up here. So the first thing that I had was involving a lawsuit that Bungie's involved with, and it's kind of funny how the current status of it. So the judge leading this case has denied Bungie's motion to dismiss the Destiny 2 Red War lawsuit. So the reason
heck was that?
Red War was a part of Destiny 2, like a expansion, a part of the story that Bungie, like a lot of stuff, has notoriously vaulted. You can no longer access this content.
Oh, okay.
So what's happening is there's a lawsuit involving a writer. I forgot the place where he posts his stories and everything. But he is claiming that Bungie stole his ideas for the Red War. His whole story that he wrote came out before Destiny 2 ever came out. There's a lot of similarities, almost to a T, and is actively suing Bungie about it. So what Bungie did to try and prove that they're different was use content from Destiny Wiki as well as fan videos off YouTube, because the content's vaulted and you can't just show it. Which then brought the question to me. You're the developer. Do you not have the content anymore either? Did you vault it and throw away the key, throw away the code? Like, what the fuck? So it's actually possible Destiny's gonna lose, that Bungie's gonna lose this lawsuit because they vaulted the content and you can't access the content.
I can only imagine that they say vaulted, but what they mean is we meant to put it away and on a server, but when we were going through and doing some cleanup, we accidentally deleted it.
That's what I'm thinking.
So we can't actually show it because we don't have it, and they're trying to buy time while they remake it.
Yeah, right? Because it's just like, you're the company. Do you not have it? What do you mean? That's my guess, is that they deleted it or something. They don't have it. So yeah, Bungie could legitimately lose this lawsuit because they can't just bring forth actual legitimate content, and they have to rely on a wiki and YouTube videos to try to prove
the other
it's
thing is
different.
maybe they're trying to do that because if they do actually have the content and they bring it out and show it, they could just be sitting there going, if we show it, we're gonna lose.
Right?
So they're like, maybe if we just tell them we can't show it because it's locked away, that maybe they'll just believe us.
It's on that one intern's laptop that we let go 2 years ago.
Right? What a joke, man. What a joke. I'm pulling for the guy, bro. Let's go, buddy. I hope you win some cash out of this.
Maybe he can get Destiny 2 canceled.
Right. All right, next thing I've got is Chrono Trigger remake possibly confirmed. I saw this and I saw like the video and I saw the photos for it and everything. This is really interesting.
I am like, if it's actually true, I'm a little shocked because I figured in my head Chrono Trigger was one of those like
Don't touch it.
sacred objects
Yeah.
that you just don't even try on.
Yeah.
See, that was always my mindset too. So this was during an interview at Comic-Con where the Chrono Trigger, like the main writer, Yuji Horii, basically he dropped Chrono Trigger remake, right? Like he basically confirmed that it exists. And this is per someone who was actually in the audience and like got a photo of like, the stage where he was at. This is in Naples, Florida, everything taking place, whatever. And once Yuji said something about it, the interviewer said, wait, if that's true, this is big. Yuji's translator spoke to Yuji and Yuji kind of like covered his mouth. And then, then he said something to the translator. The translator just said, "You heard nothing." So basically, he fucked up. That's what I'm getting out of this. So the sacred treasure that you would never touch, I guess, did in fact get touched in some capacity. And maybe there's an HD 2D remake or a full-scale remake or something. I don't know.
Because Chrono Trigger has always been one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I just haven't seen it. People talk about it as like this sacred artifact.
Yeah, this
is like peak of everything.
It's heralded as a very genre-changing RPG for when it came out.
But it's also one of those where it's like, it's one of the few times where like, when you ask about it, everybody goes, just go play it. Nobody's like, wait for a review. They're like, just go play it.
Yeah,
It holds up. It stands the test of time. And it's like, it's one of those. I just assumed it was one where it was like, if they're gonna do anything, they'll just release it again and like make
Clean it up.
like maybe just like do a little touch up on it and never actually try to mess with it. Because this is one of those. It's like, ooh, you play it with fire.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
The game itself does still hold up gameplay wise, graphically wise. It's what you would expect from that old of a game. I mean, I'd be curious to see it. I mean, they already redid one of the Chrono games. I mean, it was sort of half well received.
Oh God, you can't have a half well received Chrono Trigger. I think the gaming industry will burn everything down, man.
Maybe the fan base,
Oh my God, that's funny, dude.
or the fan base will go like, "Hey, we still got the original."
Right. So shout out to the possibility of a Chrono Trigger remake, man. Looks like that's on the way. Respawn was recently hit with layoffs and some projects have been canceled, including an extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe. 300 to 400 jobs are gone. Obviously, T's and P's to all the people who lost their jobs. Hopefully they can bounce back quickly. But also with this, let's just never say the title Titanfall 3 ever again. It's just not happening. All right. Like this wasn't in the works when it was heavily rumored. And if this doesn't further tell you that it's not in the works, it's not in the works. Just stop. Don't ever mention it again. It's not a thing. Give up. Let it go. Hey, shout out to South of Midnight. South of Midnight passed 1 million players in less than a month of release, it being over on Game Pass, which big shout out. I'm glad people are checking it out because it is a pretty fun game. Last piece of news I've got is Hollow Knight Silksong will be playable at the Melbourne Museum in September. So the fact that it'll be playable somewhere, I'm feeling it's coming out this year.
How do you? How many people think saw that news and now planning a trip to Australia?
Right. that was my first thought too. Is like how many people are just like, oh, I gotta go to this museum. You boys got anything else you want to shout out, add to the weekly wrap up?
I actually started actively playing Wuthering Waves. It's currently having its first 1 year anniversary events. So
Nice.
Game's getting a lot of news in my timelines lately.
it's 1 year anniversary. I played it a year ago when it came out. Didn't even get my level high enough to activate stuff, and I went back and went, I can mess with this again. It also just recently came to Steam, so
A couple weeks ago, Baldur's Gate 3 Patch 8 came out. I have officially started a new campaign with a buddy of mine.
Nice.
So, started a new campaign co-op, trying out new subclasses and stuff. It's fun so far. Not very far.
Nice. All right, you guys ready for Gamestetic Game of the Week?
yep. What you got?
All right, so I'm taking it back to the DS era, to a little hidden gem that a lot of people may have looked over in a pretty
Beat
notable franchise. No. So I'm going to be shouting out Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. This was actually a BioWare game, so shout out to that. Hey, don't get this. This is a solid title, Zach. All right, this is a fun time. I enjoyed it. It's a fun game. This is actually a BioWare-led Sonic game on the DS. It is a turn-based RPG Sonic game. So shout out to that. It is something. It is something special and unique. The plot for it is actually pretty. It's pretty standard in terms of the overall like what we're trying to accomplish, but it does focus on a new clan. It kind of gives you kind of the backstory of 4,000 years ago. There was the Knuckles clan as well as the Nocturnus clan. And the Nocturnus clan were originally the Master Emerald Protectors. They wanted to expand their territory. War broke out. That's why the Knuckles clan no longer exists. The Nocturnus clan kind of disappeared. Whatever. Brings you back to present day. Eggman gets beat. Standard plot line there. Things fast forward. Knuckles gets kidnapped. He's missing. Gotta find him. And then it opens up pretty standard plot line from there where the Nocturnus have returned and the main leader, his main goal is simply to escape the prison that he's in and conquer the world. It's pretty straightforward and standard in terms of the plot from there. It does have some couple interesting characters that get introduced, like Shade, as well as some different kind of curveballs that take place with that. But it's one of those interesting Sonic titles that took place because this was the era where you had like the storybook Sonic games. So very different, very unique, very interesting. And now you have like this BioWare led like turn-based game on the DS with Sonic Chronicles. It has 11 playable characters featuring like the standard cast you'd expect, like Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, Shadow, Rouge, and Omega, as well as a couple others as well. All with the different play styles where you have like the power characters, shifter characters, support characters. Shifter characters kind of be in the middle of support and power. Some interesting fun facts about it is like the hostile alien race of the game, like the Zonai or something like that is what they're called. They actually got named from a fan event that Sega, a fan vote that took place. So shout out to that. There was actually a sequel in place for this game. But it got canned essentially after BioWare got bought by EA. It just got canned. But randomly though, and just recently in 2023, the lead writers from the game actually revealed some kind of light key story plot points for what the sequel could have been. Where once Sonic and the gang finished their thing, with the Nocturus, whatever, back on Earth, Eggman took over the world. And remade the world in Eggman image, like the pyramids are remade after to look like Eggman, the Eiffel Tower, and all that BS. And the gang kind of gets split up on Earth and kind of have to regroup and battle against Eggman. So it's kind of cool to see like the sequel details get revealed so many years later after the game. This was a game that, in terms of let's say general reception, it's not bad. I mean, it got some good review scores. The overall reception from like the Sonic community, I feel like it's honestly split 50-50, where some people just want to forget that it exists and some people just held it as like, this was a really fun game on the DS. And I'm kind of in that boat that it was a really fun game on the DS. Nothing horrible to write home about, but it is one of the kind of forgotten titles in the Sonic franchise. So that's why I thought it'd be a good Gamestetic Game of the Week shout out. If you've never played it, it's definitely worth a shot, worth a try at some point. You can probably get it pretty cheap. DS games don't really run that much cash these days unless it's like Pokemon. So you should be able to get your hands on this pretty cheap. But it is a fun game. And if you are a BioWare fan, you know what? It's worth checking out, I guess. Shout out to BioWare making a Sonic game. And shout out to Sonic Chronicles and the Dark Brotherhood. So shout out to that Gamestetic Game of the Week for you boys. You guys ready to hit the music?
Best part of that game is I can get Amy killed.
You can get Amy killed. Did you enjoy it?
I don't actually remember playing it a whole lot, to be honest.
No, really. It is a fun game, and would have liked to see some sequel elements. I like how they straight up imply that Knuckles and Shade are going to get it on. Shout out to that. That was implied, where it's like they can carry on the Knuckles bloodline. I'm like, I bet they can, brother. I bet they can, brother. So shout out to that. All right, let's hit the music. Let's get out of here.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate, whatever your platform allows. Let us know what you think about the Xbox price hikes. Do you think it's outrageous? Do you agree with it? Go for it.
Yeah, do everything he said and more. And if you like what you saw with us here, we do these live streams every Saturday at about 6 p.m. Central Time, so come check us out then.
Make sure to also check us out at our Patreon if you want to support us further. We'd appreciate your support, as well as join the Discord, be a friend, tell a friend. Check out some Agent Inc. and Rogue Energy, as well as SparkViewShop.com, all down in the description below. We'll be back next week. We'll have a fun time. It'll be great if you made all the way to the end. We appreciate the hell out of you. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Bye.